Alright, let's talk about how and why you would make these hand controls. And I think we'll start off in CAD. First off, I think it's a good idea to model the handlebars as well as the switches you're planning to use, and position these in relation to each other to ensure proper clearance. I have also modeled the screws to make sure I account for those too. Once that is done, I define the outside envelope of the housing itself, taking into account clearance and wall thickness. Now we are ready to model the actual product. I won't go into too much detail here, but it's a good idea to leave all the fillets and chamfers until the end. For the manufacturing there is a few options, but I think the cheapest and most accessible way is to use a 3D printer. Here I am using a resin printer since I find it superior for small detailed parts in comparison to a conventional filament printer. After a wash and cure cycle, I gave the hand controls a sanding before installing the captive nuts. I used a high build primer and an 800 grit sandpaper in order to improve the finish, and I capped it off with a few layers of paint and clear coat. Now for installing the switches and the reason I am making these. Normally you can buy hand controls that would work with, for example, an M unit or NWT product, and that electronic control unit would control all of your electrics with the help of low current logic. Now I'm using a home built electronic control unit that works much the same way, but I still have some conventional circuits, and I'm not sure that bought hand controls with momentary switches would agree with the higher current from those. So, in order to use the switches I want, I am forced to make the housing to fit them as well. I've basically engineered my way into a corner, and here I am working my way out of it. With that said, if you want your bike to have a unique look, or you just want to make a pair of hand controls because you enjoyed the challenge, those are perfectly valid reasons too. Alright, with that out of the way, we can focus on getting these installed on the bike, and we'll start off by watching me struggle while pulling the wiring through the handlebars. I skipped this in the video, but I actually used rubber grommets on the handlebars in order to protect the wiring. Otherwise there's a chance that the insulation would be damaged during this step. I got some help from my lovely assistant while mounting the controls, and I used a silicone sealer in between the halves instead of spending a lot of time adjusting until I got the perfect fit. While working on this area of the bike, we might as well install the grips and the mirrors too. I will need a spacer because the rubber grip risks getting caught on the throttle, and that could potentially mean a very bad day. The plastic that I'm using is called acetal, and it should provide a nice sliding surface to eliminate the risk of throttle hang. Alright, let's get this installed. I like these grips, they're pretty nice. They use the same pattern as the bottom of a pair of Vans shoes. Seems to work alright. And now, let's do the mirrors. These ones are quite cool because they include the turn signals as well. Alright, let's wire it up, shall we? I use a braided sleeve for protection, and yeah, because it looks nice. Then it's a matter of stripping the insulation, crimping the terminals, and inserting them into the correct pin location in the connectors. Let's hook it up. All that remains is the mandatory show boating.